Okay, the torque screw that you got 6 of goes through the bottom 3 here. Little Loctite on there, and then we're just going to put it right on there. And then after we get that set in there, it says to torque that down to 23 nanometers, which I've already set this thing to. And there it goes. Then after we're done with that side, we're going to come over here and do the same thing on this side here. That sets right on there. We've got that. Bottom hole. That's true. Bottom hole. Going to put a little bit of Loctite on there. Fit it right in there. And we're going to torque that down to 23 nanometers also. And finish hand tightening that up. Once again, take my T40 Torx. And we're going to torque this down to 23 nanometers. And it's done. Okay. Next thing it says to do is loosely assemble the license plate bracket. So I'm going to put the first one here. And you only got 2 of these big Torx bolts. And it says to put your docking station on the one. And I don't believe, actually let me take a look at this real quick. So I think one set is, oh, let me see here. Okay, actually I was getting ready to put on the docking station here. And I noticed one side is flat and smooth and the other side is indented. On this one here, yeah, I don't know quite yet if it matters which way it goes, but it appears that the front docking station, this should be facing outwards, and on the back one it looks like this smooth side is facing on the outside. So I want to put the bolt through that through there. And what I actually did, because they include a really nice zinc Weezer nut or something, I actually went out and picked up a chrome lock washer and a chrome nut, because you're going to see this part of it. So that's my little step up, and then I'm just going to put that on there. And it says to loosely assemble it. Okay, with that one being done, it says to repeat the step on this side. About the only tip I can give you is make sure you get this nut kind of tight, because this license plate bracket, if it pops out of here, is going to drop down and hit your paint. So I didn't do that, but it's something to watch for. Okay, we just finished tightening up this. They're kind of loose. Next step is going to be to put the plate on the back, and there's 2 nuts that hold it on that go through there, as well as a back brace. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take the license plate base, clean it with alcohol, and I'll put the reflector on the bottom before it's on the bike. I think that'd be a little bit easier. And then I also bought some chrome nuts to put on the back of the bolts, because you can see that from the back side. So I got rid of their zinc ones and I put some chrome ones on there, but that's going to be the next thing I do. Okay, got the reflector on there. That'll go in there. We'll go there. Chrome locking washer. Chrome nut. Yep. One step in front of this, and that's the brace. And then lock washer and nut, and I'll tighten it down. Okay, it says to finger tighten these, center it, and just get about finger tight. And then it says to torque these down to 34 nanometers and these up, I'd have to look at it again. So we're going to tighten up these right now, these 2 end with the docking points on it. We're going to finish tightening up this one right here. There it goes. Interesting point. These actually took a T45, these end ones. I thought it was going to be a T20, but it wasn't. And this is 1/2 inch to license plate bolts. And it says 20, I think it says 20 to 26 nanometers. So we're going to just do it at 24 and find a middle of the road place there and just torque those down to that. Alrighty, and then we'll get the other one. Okay, the license plate bracket is all torqued down to where it should be. This is actually kind of a pretty cheap license plate bracket. It's pretty cheesy. You can move it around a little bit, even though it's torqued down to where you want it to be centered again. At some point, I'm going to get a license plate holder for down below the tail light, and then I got to get rid of the white clear light up top there. We'll figure out. I've read someplace it can be a street glide tail light, which has the white light pointing down. So in time, I'm going to do this, but for today, with the kit, we're going to get the whole kit on there, including the antenna relocation, and at future dates, I'll do the interfering antenna and go from there. Okay, next thing on the instructions is going to be install this docking point, and it basically says the washer, that, the little screw and the little washer, and it's actually a T27. It's going to go in there. And then after you're done with this side, then we do the other side the same way, and we end up torquing it down after that. Okay, now I did that side, torqued it down, now I just got this side to do. And the paper doesn't say anything about using Loctite on it, but you know, I don't plan on taking them off, and I don't want them to loosen up. So I'm going to put a drop of Loctite on each of those. I already did the other side. And then I'm going to do this side here. So you got your spacer. Got that. And we'll thread that in. And this gets torqued down to 14 nanometers with a T27. And after this one, then I start to install the saddlebag brackets. There we go, and everything else. Okay. Next step is to install the saddlebag bracket there that your saddlebag locks into. And all I did was to get the alignment right back. I put the saddlebag in there, threaded in the back bolt first, and then I lined up the first one here to where I could put the screw in there, tighten it down just a little bit, tighten that down a little bit, and then it says to torque it down to, I believe it said 15 to 20 nanometers, and I will put it right in the middle at 18. And now I'm going to go do the other side. Okay, I put it about where I think it should go. It's still loose enough to move back, forth, but it's also steady enough to hold it. So now I'm going to go grab that saddlebag, put it here, thread in the back one first, then I'll thread this one in, and I can just reach between there and tighten that bolt a little bit. Okay, I got the saddlebag in there. I've threaded that down a little bit to where it lines up. Take my 7/16 wrench, and I'll just snug that down. And that should hold it, and then I'll pull the saddlebag off and torque it down. Should be lined up. Okay, now I'm going to torque it down, same as the other side. And like I said, I left the seat strap off because I've got a Mustang seat and the strap doesn't quite fit it right, and I figured, heck, if you can't ride on the back of the bike without holding on to the strap, you shouldn't be on it. But there we go. Okay, it's kind of funny. doesn't say it in any of the instructions, you know, about doing these two screw holes. In the instructions it talks about doing this one and setting it up for the license plate bracket. But as I was getting ready to mount the antenna here, I kept looking at that and saying, you know, why are these two still empty? So anyway, I went through the rest of the instructions and I found nowhere where it says to put the bolts in there. And there's really no reason to wait. So at this point here, I'm going to end up taking those other 4 bolts, washers, Loctite, and end up putting the 2 and the 2 on there and torquing it down to specs and move along. I just thought that was interesting. It doesn't say anywhere in the instructions about these 2 bolts, but they're pretty good instructions. Anyway, okay, with the bracket and all 6 of those screws now in place, the license plate holder is in place, as well as all these bolts, brackets, they're all in place. Next step is going to be install the antenna right down there. Okay, just put the antenna bracket there. Slides between here, and this is already sitting there on your part of your bag support system. And then the screws just going right here, and they thread into the bracket, which has a couple of the it's threaded, but you torque those down to 2, I think it's 2.5 nanometers. Okay, just got that installed there, and I didn't like it much, but like this black brace kind of hits the chrome here, and I could just see it being problems in the future as it keeps vibrating from when it's running. So what I ended up doing is taking like a piece of black rubber inner tube repair, and I put a square on the back side of the bracket to where you can't even see it, but it's actually, that's sitting between the chrome rail and the antenna support there. So that should keep that from vibrating and making noises or wearing the chrome off the bracket there. And by the way, these 2 screws are torque screws, and they're actually T20s. Okay, next step appears to be the little antenna piece here. Put the lock nut on there, lock washer underneath. That's going to go through here. It only goes one way because it's kind of squared off. Then you put the last nut underneath it. We'll get that there in 1 second. Okay, actually what I found it was easier to do was just take this thing and go from the bottom up. Put that on there, because you darn near need to be a contortionist to get your fingers under there to twist the bolt. So with that being said, it's done. All I got to do is torque it down now. Okay, that being hand tightened, take your 5/8, torque it down to 8 nanometers. There you go. Shouldn't be going anywhere.